Now that the spotlights for you, Abby, and Kiara are out of the way, why don't we take a little break from the lewd and talk about a more wholesome summer servant. Hello everyone, Soberoni of G&A Reviews here, bringing you a servant spotlight for the true best girl of the Part 1 banner, Summer Illya. We'll be examining her stats and skills, as well as going over pointers at how to utilize her effectively, and an overall grade comparing her to how she stacks up to the other 4-star servants. So if you're ready to take your Emoto to the beach, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe, and ring my bell so you can catch all of these spotlight videos as they go up, and you can help out the channel. And now, on to Illya's stats. Illya has a max HP of 10,914 and a max attack of 10,098, which becomes 9,593 due to her Archer class modifier. Illya has one of the highest attack stats among all SR archers, but her HP is also among the lowest to compensate. Likewise, her attack is very high among SR servants, but her HP falls far below the average. When it comes to her command cards, Illya has 4 hits on her quick card, 3 hits on her arts, 3 hits on her buster, and 4 hits on her extra card. She has an NP gain rate of 0.63% and a star rate of 8%. Illya's NP gain and star generating are both decently strong due to her high hit counts and double arts and quick deck. As you can probably guess, Summer Illya has a very offensively focused stat spread that teeters on being full glass cannon. Moving on to her skills, Illya's first skill is High Pressure rank A. It increases her quick card effectiveness for 3 turns between 10 and 20%. It also increases the crit star absorption rate of her quick cards for 1 turn between 300 and 500%, and it increases her crit damage for 1 turn between 50 and 100%, all depending on level. Her second skill is Summer Vacation Children rank A. It grants her invincibility for 1 attack, lasting for 3 turns. It also increases her NP gain rate for 3 turns between 20 and 30%, and it increases the attack of all children servants for 3 turns between 10 and 20%, both of those effects depending on level. And finally, her last skill is Regal Shower rank B++. This skill charges her own NP gauge between 20 and 30%, increases her crit damage for 3 turns between 30 and 50%, both depending on level, and it has a 70% chance to recover her HP by 500 every turn for 5 turns. As for her passives, Illya has Magic Resistance rank A, which increases her debuff resist by 20%, Independent Action rank B, which increases her crit damage by 8%, and Unlimited Prana Supply rank C, which charges her NP gauge by 3% every turn. Moving on to her deck and Noble Phantasm, Illya has a quick art stack with Quick Arts Buster and a quick Noble Phantasm. Illya's Noble Phantasm is Prisma Splash Rainbow. It's an AoE quick attack that ignores evasion for 1 turn and deals damage to all enemies with between a 600 and 1000% damage modifier depending on level. It will also increase Illya's quick arts and buster card effectiveness for 1 turn between 10 and 50% depending on overcharge. Finally, a summer servant with normal ascension mat requirements. Illya's mats are pretty straightforward. For level ascension, she's just going to need 4 Chaos Talons, 8 Seashells, 11 Phoenix Plumes, and 4 eggs. Chaos Talons can be farmed at the Moine in America, where they have a 19% drop rate. Seashells have a 46% drop rate at the Observatory in Babylonia. Phoenix Plumes are best farmed at the Town Hall in Salem, where they have a 40% drop rate. And finally, eggs have a 13% drop rate at the Vol in Lost Belt 4. For skill leveling, Illya is going to need 12 Seashells, 8 Chaos Talons, 60 Spinal Fluid, and 20 Spiritrons per skill. Spinal Fluids drop at Shinjuku Station in Shinjuku with a 74% drop rate, and Spiritrons have a 45% drop rate at the underground structure in Olympus. So you thought we were done with quick loopers just because Castoria came out? Well, think twice, because Illya is here to keep Scotty employed. But before we get into all the meta farming talk, let's discuss stats. I'm not sure if it's intentional or just poetic, but fittingly, Illya possesses the full fighting spirit of a berserker, going full glass cannon with her stat spread. She has very little HP and surprisingly high attack, but she also possesses some solid NP gain and star generating as well, mostly due to her deck structure. Her passive, Unlimited Prana Supply, also helps her in her NP gain department as well though, which is great because as you'll soon see, Illya is all about NP charge. Her third skill, Regal Shower, is a straight up 30% NP battery that also increases her crit damage by 50%, and it has a small chance of giving Illya a 500 HP heal every every turn for 5 turns. Now the heal is easily the worst thing about the skill. 500 HP isn't really that much, and it's especially bad that such a minor heal is tied to a 70% chance of triggering. But thankfully that doesn't matter because this skill is most useful for that NP charge, which can help Illya loop her Noble Phantasm. The additional crit steroid is also good for crit builds. Keep in mind that as an archer, Illya does have very high star weight, and thus she crits very often, which makes this skill excellent for setting up Illya's DPS. And because of the short cooldown, you can actually keep this buff active for most of the fight and get multiple NP charges off in longer fights. But Regal Shower isn't the only form of NP battery that Illya has. She also has Summer Vacation, a skill that grants her 30% NP gain for 3 turns, as well as 1 hit of invincibility and a special charisma for allies with the Child trait. I'm gonna sound like an old record, but again, the NP gain buff is great here because it really helps solidify Illya as a looper in farming comps, and it gives her a little bit of extra consistency. Other than that though, the other 2 effects of the skill are just okay. The attack buff is basically just a 20% buff to Illya herself because there are very few Child servants in the game, while the invincibility gives Illya some decent survival for tanking enemy NPs, but it only lasts for 1 hit. Finally, Illya has High Pressure, a 20% quick buff that also provides a ton of star absorb for her quick cards, and a massive 100% crit damage steroid. Now this is a pretty loaded skill. The quick buff itself is pretty minor at only 20%, however it does have a high uptime and is thus perfect for 3-turn farming. While the star absorb and crit steroid give Illya very easy access to high, consistent burst damage, especially in crit teams. Quick crits from Illya will hurt a lot. For skill priority, go with the NP charge first for the better farming, then I would recommend going with Summer Vacation for that NP gain buff, followed by High Pressure. Although, if you're going for a crit build, then you can level High Pressure before Summer Vacation. For append skills, just take mana loading to help with farming. Illya's Noble Phantasm is an AoE quick attack that buffs her arts, buster, and quick cards, and also ignores evasion. There really isn't too much to say about this NP, it's kinda basic. The sure hit is nice for some niche battles where enemies love to spam evade, and the card buff does synergize nicely with High Pressure to give Illya a little bit of extra damage on her NP, but mostly this is just an NP that you're going to use for farming, not utility or damage dealing. And to that extent, it does work pretty well. Illya seems custom built for Scotty looping due to the high amounts of NP batteries, quick buffs, and hit counts in her kit, and she is quite a good Scotty looper. Funny enough, I was testing her out in the current event on JP, and she was able to farm it so consistently that I sidelined my Castoria team for a bit. Now, albeit that it was just 1 node and it wasn't the most difficult node, but it still speaks volumes for Illya's credentials as a farmer. And Illya isn't a one-trick pony either. Outside of farming, she can be used effectively as a crit DPS. She has a high amount of crit steroids in her kit that can push her crit damage up to 150% for a single turn, and she's also a quick servant who's capable of generating a good amount of crit stars and has both high star weight and a star absorb skill. So consistency isn't an issue. She is very self-sufficient. Illya's cooldowns are also relatively short, so she does have high uptime on most of her buffs, and she has a decent hard defensive skill for survival. So she can even be a good option as a quick DPS in longer fights, since she doesn't have to deal with the damage drop-off and fragility that many other offensive quick servants have. Let me not sing her praises too high though, because Illya does have a number of drawbacks, many of which aren't actually her fault. But her main drawback is just competition. With Castoria in the game, arts farming teams will always just be more consistent and easier to use than quick ones. But even among just quick loopers, Illya isn't as good as the best of the best like Parvati and Lancelot. And as a crit DPS, she doesn't fare much better since the archer class is already filled with OP 4-star crit servants like Emiya. To make matters worse for Illya, she also suffers from generally low damage output due to her lack of an NP interlude and low value card buffs. This also means that if you want to use Illya as a Scotty farmer, you're going to have her at a relatively high NP level like NP3, so it's also a heavy investment. And while we're on the topic of farming, let's talk team comps. Aside from Scotty, Illya can also be used as a wave clearer when paired with other servants who have strong NP batteries like Santa Altera, Nero Bride, and Rhaenys. Bride and Rhaenys of course have some of the best NP charge skills in the game, and they can help with looping, while Santa Altera is a decent free-to-play alternative if you have her due to her 20% NP charge and her ability to provide additional NP damage and crit damage as well. And speaking of crit damage, for crit builds, I would recommend pairing Illya with crit supports who can provide stars and crit damage buffs like Caesar, Osakabe Hime, and Chiron. Osakabe Hime is a tremendous crit support for quick servants since she not only provides stars and crit damage but quick buffs and NP charge as well. Chiron and Caesar are also good choices since they have very powerful crit steroids and they can generate stars or provide additional utility. Summer Illya's Bond CE is Splatter Rainbow. It increases the party's quick, arts, and buster card effectiveness by 8%. It's not really worth using though since Illya isn't a support. Instead, go for CEs that provide starting NP charge like Kaleidoscope, Traces of Christmas, and Demonic Bodhisattva. That way you can assist her with farming. Or you can use crit buffing CEs like Gem Magecraft and 3 Anglers if you're going for crit DPS builds. In the future, you can also pick up and use Cherry Icicle if you don't already have Traces of Christmas for some reason, since it'll also grant you starting NP charge and buff quick cards. For command codes, just go with any code that increases crit damage, especially ones that increase crit damage on quick cards, like Phantasmal Horse. Illya is a good servant who just seems to be a little too late to the party. She can be a strong farmer in Scotty teams, her low cooldowns and wealth of crit steroids do make her a good DPS option in crit teams, and she even has more survivability than your average offensive quick servant despite her low HP. However, she does require a lot of investment to be usable effectively in farming teams, and even then she pales in comparison to other quick loopers, and her low overall damage means that she doesn't excel at DPS as much as the other more accessible archers. So all in all, Illya gets a B from me. I think Illya is the standard for an average SR servant. She isn't particularly bad in any area, and she can even be good if used in the right teams, but she simply just doesn't have anything that sets her apart or puts her above any of the other servants in her role. And those are my thoughts on Summer Illya. While she may not be top tier in gameplay, she is definitely top tier in cuteness. But what do you think? Let me know in the comments down below, and if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to leave a like and consider subscribing if you really enjoyed the video. Join the party over in our Discord, chill with us on Twitch, and follow us on Twitter, and I'll see you all in the next Servant Spotlight. Soberoni out. Later.